Okay, everyone, so we skip over 4.4. 4.4 talks about graphing secant, cosecant, tangent, cotangent, so we skip over that completely. We hit up 4.5, and I have three examples here on 4.5, and 4.5 is finding an equation from its graph. So the best way to do this is just kind of get right into it. So approximately 2 cycles of the graph of the trig function is below. Find the equation to match the graph. Now, when we do questions like this, it's helpful to remember the general shape the sine and the cosine curve both make. So if I look at my first example here, it looks a lot like a sine curve. Starts at the origin, goes up, goes down, beautiful. So I'm going to go with the assumption that it is a sine curve, which is totally fine. All right, now we're going to find the amplitude. The amplitude is the height. So from the x-axis to the highest or the lowest point, amplitude is 3. Doesn't look like there's any horizontal shift. You could make one up, but we don't need to. And there is no vertical shift. It starts at the origin, goes up, goes down. It's great. And then lastly, the period. The period is a cycle of the graph, and we can see it's not perfect, but let's, for argument's sake and for the problem's sake, let's say that it ends at 2 pi. So if the period is 2 pi, then 2 pi is equal to 2 pi over b. And remember, we solve this equation to get what b is, because b goes into the equation, and therefore b is equal to 1. So we have b is equal to 1, a is equal to 3, no horizontal, no vertical shift. So this equation just looks like this. Y equals 3 sine. You can put a 1 here if you want. I'm going to leave it blank. Y equals 3 sine theta. Okay, great. Now our second graph is given below. A little bit different, but don't go crazy here. There's a couple of different ways we can use to describe this graph. But what I want us to take a look at is the idea that it does kind of look like the cosine curve, but just flipped. So that's how I'm going to picture it, as opposed to trying to make a horizontal shift or anything crazy like that. It'll make our lives easier. Okay, let's look at the amplitude next. The amplitude, the height of the graph, is 4. And then if you look at the period, start at a low, go up, and then the next time you hit that low, that is going to be 1 period. That's going to be 1 cycle. So if it ever gets kind of hard to see, that would be a good way to determine it from one low point to the next one, or similarly from one high point to the next one to get your period. Okay, so period is equal to pi, so pi is equal to 2 pi over b. And very simply, we can say that b is equal to 2. All right, a is 4, b is 2. We're going to say no horizontal, no vertical shift. Everything kind of stays put. We're going to say y equals negative 4 cosine of 2 theta. Now remember, the amplitude is not negative 4. It's only negative because it's flipped across the x-axis. All right, and then we'll save this next one and the one below it for the next video.